Okay, so in this video, we're going to show you how to assemble the stacked tea light garden, and we're going to begin by assembling the base, which is made up of these pieces here in the white. So as usual, I'm going to go ahead and begin by simply creasing these score lines and getting them ready so that they're easier to work with. Once we get them all kind of glued together, and we're going to work our way from the bottom up and then finish up with the embellishments. So the first thing we want to do is just piece these pieces side by side. I'm going to begin by putting some glue on this little tab here and then gluing him to his neighbor, just making sure that the horizontal score lines are on the same plane there, and that right here where these two meet, it's just kind of butted up against the score line. You can go ahead and fold it and make sure that these angles are flush, and that tells you that you've done a pretty good job of getting everything aligned. Okay, so then we can go ahead and get the next piece into place. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on that little tab there and get him glued into place, and just hold that down and let it dry. And again, you can kind of bend it over, just make sure that these are nice and flush. It's just going to help give you a very precise final piece. Okay, so we're just repeating that process. What we're doing right now is simply creating the walls of the base, and then we're going to put the top and bottom on. And it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and close this guy up now by gluing this tab to this piece here. So I'm going to place some glue on this tab here and just get him glued into place, or her. I don't know if it's a he or a she. It's up to you to decide. And that looks really good. So far, so good. Okay, and now we can go ahead and get these pieces bent. And as I mentioned in previous videos, it's always good to kind of pre-crease these, because now when we're bending them in, there's less resistance and you're lessening the likelihood of those little joints that we just glued together from coming apart. So you've got two of these pieces here. They're identical. Doesn't matter which one you choose. You're going to go ahead and place glue on these tabs. Now the first one that we're going to do is probably going to be the one that's on top, because we have a little bit more control. And this little second line of glue that I'm adding here is to try to get our seams to be nice and crisp. Okay, and I'll go ahead and place that right on top. Okay, and you probably got to scoot things around a little bit just to make sure that you've got a nicely formed rectangle. Okay, and that looks pretty darn good. So I'm going to flip it over and push from the inside, excuse me, just to make sure that that glue is gripping nicely. Okay, so there is our base. And then we can go ahead and put glue on the bottom. And again, throw a little line of glue, really delicate line of glue towards the edge there, just to make a nice polished seam. Now, if you have like a tool that you want to use to kind of spread that glue even more thinly and get it out to the edge, that is going to ensure that you have a nice tight bond on those edges. Okay, so we're just going to push that down into place and kind of nudge things as necessary to ensure that you've got a beautifully flush little piece. And now I can't even tell if I like the top or bottom better. Either way, that looks great. And the bottom piece, at this point, we have some strips, some decorative strips. We did these in a gold foil. You're welcome to do them however you'd like, another color, pattern. So you're going to put those on the long sides, put these on the short side. And that completes your base. Okay, so we can kind of put that to the side for now, and then we can begin working on the main structure of our stacked tea light garden. Okay, and we have two of these guys here. Okay, and we've got some panels and we've got some tabs that we want to begin kind of getting into shape. Okay, so remember to score those score lines and get those ready. Now, before you do anything else, it's probably a good idea to get your panels in position and get them glued down now, while you can still use your table as a source of resistance or leverage, so to speak, so that you can really get these things positioned precisely, accurately, and so that they get a really good hold. Okay, so you're going to repeat this for both of these large pieces and get that into place. Make sure you've got a nice even border all the way around. Okay, so that is how that works. It's very simple. So you're going to do that to this piece as well. Okay, and then we can go ahead and begin putting together the rest of this guy. So all that's really left with this piece is you have two of these pieces here, and this makes up one of the sides, and then the top and one of the platforms. Same thing with the other one. And then we have a base, and then we have the top piece for the center. Very simple. And we can go ahead and get these pieces nice and bent at the score marks, just to get them ready to go. And it really doesn't matter if you do which side you put this on. It really doesn't matter. They're identical. Just make sure that you've got this long side connecting to the edge here. Okay, so we're going to glue that in place. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward design on this. So I'm just going to lay it like so. Okay, and just going to line this up and push it down. Just make sure that these lines here, these horizontal score lines, are nice and matched up. You can even fold this over to make sure that you've got them precisely lined up. Okay, and as you can see, that looks great. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring this in like so, and I'm going to place glue on this tab here and get that glued into place, and just kind of peek around the other side on this side here. Just make sure that you've got that nice and level. And push and hold that in place. This thing's very simple to put together, actually. It is a delight and a breeze. And then finally, we've got this piece here. So we can go ahead and put some glue on this tab. And get that glued in place. And again, peek around the other side just to make sure that it's looking nice and flush over on this side here. You don't have too much overlap. Okay, and you're simply going to repeat what I just did here with this piece on the other side. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you on the other end of that. Okay, so this is what your piece should look like at this point. Now what we're going to do is put the other face on, okay, and that is going to require that we place glue on these tabs here. So we've got a total of 6 of them. And again, you want to get your glue out to the edge as close as possible without making a huge mess and letting too much glue squirt out, because we want those little seams to be nice and flawless. And I'm going to go ahead and begin by just getting these parts here in place. Do your best to initially position it and then work your way around, ironing out the fine details and making sure that everything is nice and level and flush and nudged just right. Okay, it's going together fairly easily for me here. There we go. And then we can go ahead and flip this thing over, get our hand in there, and push from the inside to really get that to hold, get a nice grip on it. Okay. So there's that, and all that's left to do at this point is put our bottom on like this and put our top on right here. So we can go ahead and just pop the top on really quick here. So you can see this thing assembles pretty quickly. I think that if we did this all up in white, be a beautiful little centerpiece for a wedding. And actually all of the pieces from this bundle would be great for a wedding. And actually, you can actually still get your finger in here for that piece. Okay. And all that's left to do is put glue on the bottom of this thing. And this doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be sitting on a base. So you just put your bottom on. Okay. Get it in its initial little spot. And you can flip it over and actually get your fingers inside. That's the beauty of having one little door. Really lets you get your hands in there to get a good grip on things. Okay, so there is the little stacked box, and then all that's left with this piece is these little pieces here. These are just little decorative elements that help you, well, these elements are just there for to help you visually know where to place the candles, and it just makes it look nice. So what we're gonna do at this point, and I'm gonna just pop those off, I'm just gonna put glue on the bottom of this thing. And we're gonna glue that right onto our base here. Just try to get that nice and centered. Okay, oops. And you can push down from the inside as well. And all that's really left to do at this point is put together the little decorative element that goes on the front and back. And I'm just gonna show you how to do one of them since it's the same thing on both sides. So let's go ahead and move on to that. Okay, so for each of these sides, you're gonna need two of each of these. Okay, we're gonna use one as a backing, and then one is gonna be used as like a front part. And then there's also gonna be some elements that go on top of that as well. But in essence, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sandwich a few of the pieces in between here, because that's how we found it was the easiest to do. So this little heart here, we're gonna place glue on just these little petal areas here. Okay, and we're gonna glue that so that it matches up with the little petal or the little leaf up there. Okay, and then we're gonna take and we're gonna do the same thing on this side here to join the other piece. Okay, and that's gonna come together, should come together flush, like so. Okay, just like that. So that is that piece. Pretty straightforward so far. Okay, and next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this heart here, and as you can see, these little parts of these leaves here, I'm gonna flip this over, okay, and those are gonna get glued right on there. Okay, so you can see where this thing overlaps, and that's where you want to place your glue. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my glue here and a little bit here. And that should be enough to hold it. And we can also, just to cover our bases, put a little bit of glue on this little area there. Oops, actually had it on the wrong side. Sorry about that. So we're gonna add a few more drops of glue up this little edge here and just get that glued into place. Oops. Okay. So that's how that works. Let's take a look at it from the front and scooch it around until we've got it nice and flush. Okay, so that's how these pieces got interlocked down here. That's how that's gonna look, okay? Okay, and next what we wanna do is we wanna take this piece and we want to glue that to this little area here, like so. And it's gonna kind of hold it together down here as well. It's gonna add a little splash of color for us in that area. Okay, so you see how that looks. Okay, and actually while we're doing this, we can go ahead and take this piece and glue that on right there. So you probably want to be a little bit more generous with your glue to make sure that you're getting in all these little nooks and crannies. I'm just trying to get my point across here and show you how all this goes together and give you a visual, but you definitely want to take your time with your gluing. Get that nice and aligned. Okay, so that is how that looks, and initially we were okay with that, but it is a little wobbly. So we added another backing to it, and you're going to basically glue this piece right to itself so it matches up, just like so. So you're going to get that glued into place, and you're going to get that glued into place. Okay, I don't really need to show you that. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then you're going to glue this down like so. Okay, you're going to get that glued into place, and we have these pieces here. Okay, and we actually popped out of these right about here. You can move them around if you want. We just didn't want to obstruct the hole too much because we realized you got to get a candle in there. So these are going to get popped outed right around here, okay? And then there are these little flowers that you can actually take and kind of curl them out to give them a little bit of life and a little bit of dimension. And you can glue those or pop dot those pretty much right around here, like so. Okay, and then this flower is going to get glued on like that, just like so. And you can put a little bling in the middle there if you want. And that's pretty much it. One thing that I did when I was shooting this, and I had it outside because it's pretty darn sturdy. I put a couple of Zots in certain spots just to kind of reinforce it, especially this thing here. I reinforced it with a Zot there and a Zot there. But that's pretty much it for your stacked tea light garden.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.